Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities are Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life.
Meals on Wheels Delaware raises funds and awareness in the state of Delaware for the Meals on Wheels programs. We are very excited to be able to support the local Meals on Wheels programs. They deliver meals each weekday, a hot, nutritious meal to around 4,000 seniors all across the state. These seniors are oftentimes living alone on a low income and really have very few other options. The hot meal delivered each day by a cheerful volunteer makes the difference to allow these seniors to stay in their homes, for their families to feel confident that their loved one is going to be checked in once a day and that if there's any issues, they'll be let to know about it. And then also the meal program is a great way to connect that senior with the community. We are very happy to say that Delaware is one of the few states that doesn't have a waiting list for the program. And that's in part due to the funding that we receive through our direct mail campaigns and also through our event sponsorships and attendances. Meals on Wheels Delaware is delighted to be the winner of 2 awards this year for our marketing campaigns. Our direct mail Best in Show campaign was our holiday campaign in 2015. It focused on the idea of a senior being empty, and the idea of the emptiness related not only to the meal that they didn't have on their plate, but also to the life that sometimes a homebound senior has, where they really do feel empty from contact with the outside world. The idea of this campaign was that a contribution would not only fill the senior's plate, but it would also help fill the hole that they had in their social lives. We do know from many families that those seniors that receive the meals talk not only about the contribution that it makes to their health and their nutritional well-being, but it really also does make them feel part of the larger community, and that this is really something that is invaluable to their health in terms of their emotional health as well as their physical health. Our multi-channel campaign was actually something that we ran for Mother's Day. We have a Mother's Day appeal every year, and this year's theme was Memories with Mom. It really resonated very well with our community. We had a great response to it, but we played on the idea of significant events and the role that a mother can so often play in those, from the early days where you curl up in your mom's lap and you hear a story, to the graduation day from high school, from college, to your wedding, to your first children, and how important it is to have a mother in all of those instances. And that now some of these mothers, unfortunately, who have lived their life are alone and do not have a family that they're able to turn to at this point. So the idea was that to pay the love that you have with your mother forward to someone's mother who is now alone. We took that theme and we used it on a print piece with the idea of the older snapshots featured as part of the print piece. And we took that idea with the same snapshots and the same milestones and moved that into an email campaign with a sequence of images that related to that time in everyone's life. We had the same images play through social media, and we had a great response from all channels. And we really exceeded our goals for this campaign this year, and we exceeded the goal that we have made over the last 2 or 3 years with the same campaign. So it was a great success.
The Delaware Art Museum is an art museum primarily focused in American art, although we also have a strong collection of Pre-Raphaelite art. We have been recently focusing more and more on community engagement and reaching new audiences. The piece that we won the award for is an example of that community outreach. Last spring, the Delaware Art Museum exhibited Our America, the Latino Presence in American Art. The exhibition featured artists from a wide variety of Latin American backgrounds, all working in the U.S. today. To interpret this exhibition, the education team was tasked with creating an exhibition guide to help the museum fulfill its goals for the exhibit. Our marketing department designed the guide with a major goal being that it, like every piece of interpretation for the exhibit, would be translated into Spanish and also appear in English. The guide featured a large map that illustrated different Latin American countries represented by the artists in the exhibition. It also prominently displayed the United States because all of these artists were working in America at the time that the art for the exhibition was created. We heard later in visitor evaluation that visitors who went through the exhibition and used the guide connected the artists with their home countries, as well as unpacked the idea of what Latino American meant to them. We surveyed about 40 visitors exiting the exhibition and asked them about their use of the guide, which parts they read, and how it increased or helped them understand the exhibition concepts differently. Over 50% of our visitors used the guide, which is dramatically high compared to most interpretation material. And what we learned is that the guide was very effective in helping them increase their awareness of Latino art and artists. The guide also prominently features the story of one artist. We featured Maria Brito's story. We chose to tell about her arrival to the United States from Cuba and also how it influenced the sculpture that was featured in the exhibition. Finally, we prompted visitors to look for a wide variety of themes that ran like threads throughout the exhibition, connecting the various artists, each of who came from a different background with a different story. The museum's effort to reach out to the Latino community made it very important to translate this piece into Spanish. All of the labels in the show were in Spanish and the wall text as well. The education team also trained and hired Spanish-speaking docents to lead different groups through the museum. In designing this piece, our graphic designer created one side that was in English, and then the entire brochure flips and is translated in Spanish on the back. This functioned well as a brochure that was displayed on the wall of the exhibition because the English and the Spanish sides of the brochure could be displayed side by side, and visitors were free to pick up either one. I would love to congratulate our graphic designer, Candace Cairns, who did a wonderful job of integrating the English and the Spanish language throughout the exhibition, and in particular in this exhibit guide. She was under the direction of Jessica Jenkins, our marketing manager, who worked with her on the community engagement piece, both for this publication and throughout the museum's efforts.
Tri-State Bird Rescue and Research is a wildlife rehabilitation clinic. We care for injured, orphaned, and oiled native wild birds. Our wild bird clinic takes in about 2,500 patients every year. Many of them have been injured inadvertently through human activity. Our oiled wildlife response team is on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to respond to the needs of oiled wildlife anywhere in North America and even around the world. 2016 is Tri-State's 40th anniversary. And so for this special anniversary year, we created a calendar that celebrates our 40 years of success. And each month, we interviewed different volunteers, staff members, other partners, and everybody contributed a special story. It's a really great summary of our 40 years of service to wildlife, and just really gives a great overview of the breadth of our operation. Not only does the calendar have really beautiful photographs, but it's a wonderful summary of Tri-State's history and how far we've come in 40 years and the advancements we've made in taking care of our wildlife. Tri-State saves the lives of thousands of native wild birds every year, but we can't do this without incredibly dedicated people on staff and as volunteers. Their dedication and commitment to the organization is reflected in the stories that they've presented in this calendar. And it's just a great testament, I think, to Tri-State that some of our volunteers have been with us 10, 20, 30 years. And we just couldn't do the work that we do without them.
For 44 years, the Delaware Museum of Natural History has been exciting and informing people about the natural world through exploration and discovery. Over the years, we've seen many changes with marketing and development and our educational programs, most recently with social media. Our Director of Communications, Jennifer Acord, has led this effort in the past years with amazing success.
We've been really excited about how we've been able to use social media to reach our visitors. Through social media, we're able to target through geography and using specific demographics. For example, we're able to reach new audiences for many of our events, particularly ones that reach young adults and families. Through the use of analytics in social media and on our website, we're able to tell that 10% of our website traffic has come directly from Facebook, and that's primarily for events. For example, for our Wine and Dinosaurs event, which is our largest fundraiser, we've had at least 1,000 visitors on that specific event page just from Facebook. Through the use of analytics on our social media and our website, we're able to gauge what's working in social media. For example, we've had about 10% of our website traffic comes directly from Facebook now, and specific events have sold out just because of our use of social media. We are also able to gauge whether an event is going to be successful because of the activity on social media. For example, this summer, for one of our free Sunday morning events, we put it out on Facebook, and we were able to tell because of the activity that would be incredibly successful. We had more than 700 visitors that day, specifically because of our social media outreach.
The Food Bank of Delaware is a statewide organization that distributes food to those in need through a network of 575 different partners up and down the state. Here in our state, there are 1 in 5 children who live in poverty and more than 117,000 food insecure. So our goal is to bring in as much fresh foods as possible and distribute them out through our network. We also try to address the root causes of poverty, and through that we have a culinary school at the Food Bank of Delaware where we train adults for careers in the food service industry. The Food Bank of Delaware is really a community-driven organization. We can't do what we do without the support of the community. Last year we had over 18,000 volunteer visits. We have hundreds of companies who host food drives and fundraisers, so we really can't do what we do without the support of the state. The Food Bank of Delaware is proud to be the recipient of this year's website award from the Association of Fundraising Professionals. When we sought to redesign our website, we really wanted to make it mobile friendly so people who are using mobile devices could easily navigate our website. We have a lot of different programs, a lot of ways for the community to support our organization. So we really wanted to provide an easy to navigate website, whether you're on a mobile device or a computer, and also share our stories, the people that we're impacting, the people who are supporting us. So we really think that we were able to do a good job with the redesign thanks to the website company Squatch, who assisted us there, a local company here in Delaware.
The Jewish Federation of Delaware was delighted upon hearing the news that we won 4 awards. Jewish Federation of Delaware is an organization that supports our Jewish community through events both locally and overseas. The annual report is a way that Jewish Federation of Delaware can express its story in an emotional and compelling way. And one of the ways I think that they achieved this was through the use of vibrant colors and emotionally appealing images. So as much as the content is very useful to our community, I think that the way in which they laid it out was just touching to many of our community members. With the Create a Jewish Legacy campaign, we really wanted to reach out to people so that they can share why they're leaving their legacy to the community. And with this, it was important to get photographs of these families who are doing this, and it creates a connection to other people in the community because they know these people. And so it gets people to really think about leaving that legacy themselves. The Jewish voice has always been a primary vehicle of communication for our Jewish community. And it continues to evolve because we cover stories, events, news that is very relevant to all of our Delaware community. Laughs and Drafts was a personal design project for me. So this was a really fun piece to do because it was meant to get the men out in our community for a night at the Candlelight Dinner Theater with a comedian and a bunch of beer. So what more fun can you have? And with this piece, we wanted to create something that could draw the attention of the men in our community so that they might want to kick off their shoes and have a good time for the night.
Reading Assist Institute is a nonprofit organization dedicated to teaching the foundational skills of reading to children with significant academic challenges, thus empowering them to reach grade-level proficiency. We decided to create this video because we wanted to show the collaboration between the Colonial School District, AmeriCorps, and Reading Assist.
A lot of people just go back to, oh, your parents read to you, and then you knew how to read. I don't even remember learning how to read at all.
You know, lots of children will just develop the knowledge of the pattern. 20% of children won't, so they need the explicit instruction.
It could affect them with confidence. If they're in a class and all the kids are kind of reading the words out loud, they might have felt kind of isolated and detached from their classmates and their friends.
Everyone's moving forward, and you're not.
So I am sourced out from this organization called the Reading Assist Institute.
Each tutor sees 6 students for a 45-minute time period each day.
One-on-one intensive tutoring every single day.
So each lesson that I create from this program is tailored specifically to the needs of the child.
We start with our grapheme sounds. You know, each letter says a sound, and then we start putting them together to make the words and make the syllables.
It's more like math. You know, you have the word, and then you have to look at each letter and help the kids with what sound does each letter make.
So like jump, j, m.
Say I have an F and an L, that can make an L blend.
What's the L blend that makes?
Food.
Like that's a lot of sounds that these kids have to put together to get that word. You know, you don't think about that when you're reading.
I see Reading Assist from the perspective of how can it help our students begin to fill some of the gaps that are missing in the classroom.
You know, the kids have good and bad days. Sometimes it can be very frustrating for them.
Like with big words, when I don't know them, I'm trying to sound them out in my brain, but then I'm like, what is this? What is this? What is this?
So you have 6 people who are either having a great day or not in the mood, and since it's something difficult for them, it's usually more on the not in the mood side and less on the great day side. It's been very, very difficult.
They're the ones that are struggling, and struggling kids don't have it all figured out, so that means that you're gonna have to kind of like figure out what you need to do to help them.
We actually had a student who was very resistant to being pulled from the room. Her data had never moved. I mean, it moved a little bit, but then it would go backwards. And it'd move a little bit, and then she'd go backwards again. But now it's starting to really move. It's not huge growth, but it's moving in a direction that it hasn't before.
None of the students were at benchmark at the beginning of the year assessment. The data is saying that all of them were at benchmark middle of the year.
They did testing called Dibbles testing, and all the kids were up a lot. How many words could you read in a minute, your accuracy in reading, and things like that.
Read Assist provides mentorship. It provides students with the ability to be confident.
I learned words that I have never learned before.
being able to focus on one kid and their one individual need versus 3, 4, or even 5 kids in a group keeps them motivated. I think it helps them feel special too.
This just kind of gives us another step or another vehicle to reach the students that are struggling the most.
I couldn't read at all, but when I met Mr. Kittle, he helped me read.
Seeing him acknowledge that success that he's been having, it was a great feeling.
Seeing my kids at the beginning that were like bummed out when they had to read a word and they couldn't read the word like cat, and now they're reading short stories with me. It's amazing, yeah.
I really wish that we had more reading assist people here.
They're sacrificing a lot to help children that will ultimately impact our future.
You just become so close to them, and you really want them to succeed.
I wish this could be at every school. We need to get these students back up to grade level, and this is the way to do it.
It feels awesome to learn how to read.